All right. We are live, sir. JP Donahue, I finally got you.
You do have me, man. I'm all yours. 100%.
Finally got you, brother. I'll try not to make this this entire live about jiu-jitsu.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I caught your post a while back, and I think we connected previously and back and forth a little bit. Then I saw that you were exiting that scene a little bit. It's hard on the body for a while, but then the last time we connected, you're getting back into it. So
yeah, it's since my surgery, it's been a really challenging path to navigate.
Yeah, I bet.
But I'm doing great.
That's awesome.
And it's
I'm
just
glad to
another
hear that.
opportunity to learn and grow and test boundaries, and things that used to work for me don't work for me now. And there's so much growth in that. And, it's a beautiful part of life, beautiful part of aging, actually. Most people, we push against it, but it's just, it's a fact of our existence.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, I joked and said, I'm crazy enough to get started late in life, what was I, 49
how old
when I
were
started?
You when you started
49, joining my
and
son.
you're a white belt, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting some stripes. I'm getting some stripes, baby. But it's funny because like literally just before going live here, I came back from the chiropractor. I had a rib out.
Oh, geez, that's painful, man.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what it's like, getting stacked and something goes out. And
I pulled one out, escaping side control with a wrestler 12 years ago, and it healed outside of the cartilage. So I have a
that's
permanent
rough.
knob here on my right-hand side where my the one right above the floater popped. Anyway, nobody cares about that shit.
Well, and it's funny because I look at this industry a bit like jiu-jitsu now.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's so much ebb and flow, and you have to watch your positioning in a lot of places. And for the last, I mean, I've been in the industry quite some time, and I want to get into where you landed in the industry and how you built, what was going on. But I just see so much. JP, there's almost all this talking in circles going on right now. And every once in a while, I see a post, either it's you or Mitchell or someone else, and I'm an advertising guy, right? I'm an ad dude. Like, I'm an old ad guy. I just look at this as brand. And I'm like, okay, I love what you have done with building a super brand, the superhero questions. It simplifies it so much. And I think that that's what so many are missing in this industry is, you and I joke, right? And this happens not even just in cannabis. I'm going to start a company. First thing, they design a logo, then a tagline. And then all of a sudden, there's no business plan going on behind it. And I'm like, why?
Where's the copy? What's your ethos? What's your origin story? What are you writing on your website? Why you go on and on and on.
And it all needs to connect. It needs to connect, right?
I mean, you're right, though. I just want to make this point. Like, this is, and I have like a story around this, but I'll keep this one short. In terms of the need to simplify, I just sat in so many meetings as CMO of Deep Roots Partners with dispensaries and brands that could not even articulate brand. They just didn't have the language.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's like a complicated thing. And then I go to the experts, go to Seth Godin. No one can understand what Seth Godin is saying except me and maybe you.
I'm still hung up on the purple cow.
Right? So it doesn't help. And then you even people saying, well, you think of your ideal customer and you work backwards. That doesn't really work either.
Yeah,
that's not going to get you to copy that people fall in love with on your website. Right. So it really was like I was in this position of like abject frustration without being able to have a meaningful dialogue about any of this. And I went back to my career in Hollywood, and I was like, superheroes. Common language, simple, easy. Everybody gets it. How can I break this down? And I'm just riding that horse hard now.
Well, it makes sense though. It makes sense. And I think that's the thing is, branding, marketing, understanding your true value of what you're putting into industry, any industry. It's a concept that so many just kind of forget, and not realizing that's how your consumers will connect with you ultimately, right? So you're talking Hollywood, you're talking superhero movies. we connect to superheroes for a plethora of different reasons, right? And in the case of Stoned Ape and the work that you're doing with these like, man, I just love reading those. I love that you're taking a classic case and applying the superhero questions to them, because it's just, again, it's simplified. It's complex, but it's simplified. And I think many miss that. But first, let me go back, because for those that are unfamiliar with your work and what you're doing, I'm sure those that are joining us live, they see you throughout the internets on LinkedIn, and you're commenting here and you're putting forward some good information, and you're consulting now. But prior to that, there was Tropicana. But what was your foray into the industry, and what kind of successes did you see with that, building that brand out? And then we'll move into what came next, and then Stoned Ape.
Yeah. I mean, I was a screenwriter for a long time. I was a lawyer before that. Probably nobody wants to hear about either of those things. I reached a point where I decided to quit writing, and Prop 215 was the law of the land. And I'd been a cultivator as a kid
Mm,
in rural Michigan. And I just decided that that was the next thing for me. And I had a passion for it. And I really had a need to make something tangible after just writing for,
right.
15 years. And my last project, I was retrofitting scrap double wide trailers on a 5-acre property I bought in the middle of the Mojave Desert into mobile automated greenhouses.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
San Bernardino County changed their laws. They declared cultivation. You could not aggregate recs there anymore.
Mm.
Anything over 6 plants was a felony. I had 4, 1,600 square foot greenhouses on that property that were lit up by like the North Star at night, and all of a sudden was getting flyovers by CHP and everything else. So I pulled the plug, and I had a friend and a business, like a business associate, who was on the waiting list in Santa Ana for retail.
Mm.
And when they went Prop 64, they accepted new applications. So I'm also a lawyer, as you know. So I
Yep.
drafted the merit-based application for that shop.
Mhm.
And really, obviously Hollywood's a lot about brand. So I'm not saying this is the first time I thought about brand, but there was a moment when we were under construction where I was sitting on a dirt pile looking at a 6-foot hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Shop didn't have a name. We had no idea what we were doing. And the question hit me. Why should someone shop at your dispensary?
Mm.
Why should somebody choose you over all the other choices in the space,
Yep.
over all the other retails, over the illicit market, over the deliveries, over the illicit deliveries? I mean, now we have hemp too, whether that stays or goes,
Yeah.
who knows? But you have to have a compelling reason, and that reason is your brand. And that was the birth of Tropicana. That was my idea.
Mhm.
And I was zagging while everyone was zigging. Everyone was
Mm.
medical still.
Right,
Green
right.
crosses, waiting rooms, talking about health and wellness. I built a Miami Beach day club in the middle of Santa Ana. I painted it Miami Seafoam green and pink.
Yeah.
The flamingo was our logo, and we made cannabis fun.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
That place was a blast. We threw parties all the time. We
Mhm.
went off on 710, we went off on 420, did tons of brand sponsored events. Like it was the spot, and
Yeah.
nobody was doing that then.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
reality of it is that I think that we had a lot of influence in changing the dispensary game. So that was where it started with brand. I feel like I've talked for way too long here, and
No,
you probably
no,
got a
no, the
question.
the story's good, and I think that's what some need to understand. I work with retailers a little bit as well. I'm a growth partner with a company that supports retailers, and I have a lot of conversation with different retailers, and there's a contrast difference between what's allowed, how operations work, and how the brands are built in Canada versus the US versus the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And we're in Canada, we're very much in lockdown. Like, you
Right.
cannot promote for the most part. But once you've got customers, this is where I see a lot of at least in Canada, the retailers failing. And I have seen it in the US. You get their you get their info. You can now market to them legally in Canada.
Sure.
You can market to them, but I've said this before multiple times. I sign up for every dispensary I can because I want to see, what does your marketing look like? What are
That's
you
smart. I
sending?
need to do
And
that, man.
but well, listen, out of JP, probably 30 plus dispensaries, different dispensaries, big and small. I don't receive anything for the most part. There's a couple that do it really, really well. And on, twice a week, I get a beautiful email at what's going on, pumping the products, working with brands. But outside of that, I don't see much.
You're
And
talking about the Alpine IQ or
yeah, well,
Klaviyo
whatever systems they're
retention
using.
emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever they're using. But I think that, SMS, okay, yeah, I get it's on lockdown and, there's struggles. I worked US side as well for a while.
right.
But when you've got an email address, you have something. You have something at least.
Yeah, well,
And
it's gold. Your list is gold. But I'll also
right.
say this because
Yep.
people forget about this, and this is really important. Yeah, there you can have limitations on marketing and how you can communicate, but you
Mhm.
can't have a website, right?
Right.
And your
Yes. Yep.
website has an attitude and a tone and a style and
Yep.
a brand that should be evocative of what you're doing in store.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we really did that with Tropicana. But then
Right.
another aspect of brand that people don't talk about enough is operations.
Right.
What kind of experience, what kind of attitude,
Mhm.
what does your store feel like
Right.
when you walk in
Right.
the door? Does it feel like a trip to the dentist's office? Because I'll tell you this, when I opened my shop, every shop in Orange County felt like a trip to the dentist's office. It
Mhm.
sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You the guard would grind you on the entrance, and then they'd
Yeah.
sit you in this awkward waiting room with a bunch of different people, and you'd wait to get called to go in the store, and rec had already passed.
Mhm.
Nobody transitioned. You did,
Right.
this is just insane. So you can go a long way with your brand and getting return business by the experience you provide
Yeah.
the customer in your store and the menu, which is part of
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
brand, and the customer service, which is part of your brand, and how welcoming are you when they come in? Does your
Yeah.
guard smile at them, or is he mad dogging every? I mean, it just goes on and on. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are the
Yeah. Yeah.
bathrooms clean? Is the floor swept? Are the lights on? Is the line orderly? Or the display? You get into this whole thing, and that's all part of your brand too. And I always say,
Mhm.
like, you can say whatever you want online, but if you can't deliver on the promise in store, you're dead. No
Right.
one's coming back.
Yeah. Oh, and
So
I've
this
seen
thing
that.
goes deep, brand
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
I mean, it goes all the way into emptying your trash,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
man, that's such a strong point to make is that customer experience, both online, digital format, and in person, they have to jive. I've seen this. Beautiful website, incredible. I'm like, I'm gonna visit that place when I get to town. I get in and I'm like, fuck is
It's
this?
garbage.
Like, what is this? But I'm just thinking the whole time. I'm not a big Starbucks guy, but I'm thinking Dunkin' Donuts versus a Starbucks. The both serve coffee, both have some fancy drinks, but one is willing to, pay more to go to a Starbucks in some cases because of that experience, the way they've greeted you, what it looks like, the aesthetics in the store, versus coffee sprung here and everything all over the place when
Dude,
you
and
go
their
in.
app is a killer.
Mm,
Whew,
yeah, yeah. Well,
they're
and
crushing
again,
it
it's
with
it's
that.
experience. How and then
Yeah.
how am I rewarding? But I mean, that's it's like the wild, wild west going on with different dispensaries. How does let me put it this way. If I'm coming to you because you consult with individuals that are, moving into retail, especially,
Yeah.
I'm coming to you with an idea. I'm going to launch in I'll just say a newly regulated state that they've just opened up. What is step one? What does that look like? Right? I haven't even thought of my brand yet. I've got capital. I'm going to make a go of this. What is step one?
I think step one is just a real basic get to know you discovery call
Hmm.
before anything. I mean, especially for me, like I'm very, very careful now about who I work with
Hmm. Hmm.
and what projects I want to be involved in. And thankfully, I'm in a position where I have the luxury to pick and choose and I don't have to do anything I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first step for me is seeing if there's synergy between me and the potential client and seeing if they understand brand and getting a feel for, what are their ideas. But if we can cross that bridge
Hmm.
and we feel like, we both feel good about it, the superhero questions for me really are the next step.
Hmm.
And I ask for clients to do them on their own. I give them to clients for free. You can see I publish them all
Oh yeah,
over. So,
they're all out
I'm not
there.
trying to
Yep.
keep them a secret. If you want to take them and use them yourself, take them and use them yourself. And if it
Yep.
makes you better,
Yeah.
marvelous.
Yeah.
But what usually happens is they do them and then they submit them to me. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I have a bunch of notes or suggestions and I end up working on them with them
Mm.
to refine the answers because I've walked down this road before and I know how these answers are going to manifest themselves in their marketing throughout the
Mhm.
marketing cycle of the business. And by the way, by extension, also in retention. And this is one of the
Right.
things that drives me crazy right now, too. This is another cause of mine.
Mhm.
I cannot believe that so many dispensaries run acquisition and retention as siloed solutions.
Mm.
And I cannot believe all the retention people that publish ROI that doesn't factor in cost of acquisition.
Mm.
Because without acquisition, there's nothing to retain.
Right,
These
right.
things need to work in synergy
Yeah.
with brand as a flow through, and almost no one's doing that.
Hmm. What
Disposed hire agencies have a different SEO or acquisition entity than they do retention entity,
right,
and they're not
right.
synced.
Hmm.
And therefore, their marketing numbers are false and their retention numbers are false, and they don't really know what's going on. And brand is missing from all of it.
Yeah.
There's no unified effort there. So, I start with the superhero questions because the truth of the matter is it forces you to answer the question that needs to be answered is, why should anyone fall in love with you?
Right.
What is special about you?
Mhm.
Again, the question that I had when I was sitting on that pile of dirt that was the beginning of all of this. And I had, we had investors and we didn't know if we were going to succeed or fail. And there were 20 shops open in Orange County for 4 years before we even got there. So we had to take market share from people to be successful. It was not a level playing field. And honestly, we were terrified. How are we going to do this?
Mhm.
We're both cultivators on top of it. I mean, yeah, I am a lawyer and I was a screenwriter and I have some other experience, but I never opened a dispensary before. I never done retail before.
Right.
But I
Right.
did know this. I needed to answer the question, why should somebody pick you?
Mhm.
And I'm a
Mhm.
world-class creative. So I'm the right guy to answer that question.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, I would hope, right? That makes
yeah,
sense,
yeah. So I
but I
mean, I
think
got lucky there. Thank
you've
thank goodness I asked it. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I would start with a new person is like, let's look at the superhero questions and
yeah.
let's figure this out.
Do you have a disclaimer at the bottom of it that says, "Do not use ChatGPT to answer these questions"?
Oh, no, I love it if they use ChatGPT to answer the questions, like,
Yeah.
because it's just gonna come out
Mhm.
in the wash. It's so interesting. I don't know why people will, and this was part of my frustration when I was consulting with the digital agency.
Mm.
People will drop a $10 or $20,000 check on acquisition or retention, and they won't even have a conversation about brand.
Right.
And so if somebody answers those questions with chat, it's really they're doing us both a great service because it tells me they don't understand brand, they're not taking brand seriously,
Yeah.
and that probably means they're not going to be successful
Mm.
unless we have the come to Jesus talk when I get their chat GPT answers and I explain that to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, now I get it."
Right.
But at
Right.
least, it's like those things are great when they happen, especially, if they make it succeed or they make it fail, either way you win.
Mhm.
Because if Chat GPT is their branding solution and they don't want to change their mind about that, then you shouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
How do you differentiate now though, right? So, I guess it would be different state to state and depending on what competition looks like. So let's say I'm working with you and I've got this solid idea, but it's also somewhat already replicated in market, maybe within a certain neighborhood or a demographic. Is there danger in that where you align similar to what's already happening? Does that create pricing wars and the race to the bottom? Like, I'm just curious of that situation.
well, I always view brand as the only protection on price point,
Mm, okay.
right? If you're just a liquor store or a gas station, then you're selling commodities and you're in the price war
Mhm.
zone. So
Mhm.
brand for me is, I always say, people don't come to dispensaries to buy weed. And that's not why I wanted anyone to come to my dispensary. I wanted them to come for the experience.
Mm.
But there are all different kinds of experiences. You know, also dispensaries are hyper local,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a saturated market, like, most, most, unfortunately, most cities have really restrictive zoning when they open for shops,
Hmm.
and they cluster shops in different industrial areas. So, the odds are wherever you are, there's going to be at least 3 or 4 people pretty close to on top of you.
Hmm.
So if I was coming into one of those locations, I would definitely not replicate what anyone else is doing in the neighborhood. And I'm not really a fan of replication anyway. I much prefer original thinking,
Hmm.
but my idea for Tropicana, which is basically making cannabis fun again, there are all different kinds of ways to do that.
Hmm.
And there are all kinds of different brands. There's happy cannabis or cannabis with a smile, or,
Hmm.
I did some
Hmm.
consulting for a Jersey brand called Frosted Nug, which part of their brand identity was fun, and it sort of crossed over into the Tropicana zone, but they were hyper focused on boutique flower from local New Jersey growers and not serving up the MSO mids.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great distinguishing feature. And then that starts to walk you into educated bud tenders and the ability to talk about, see, just so, yeah, you've got like fun, but it's crossing over into this area, which is a way to distinguish it slightly from what other people are done. And it really is like, all the different brands I've worked with, you sort of, creativity is a process,
Hmm.
right, of
Yeah.
discovery. And I like to say there's a secret mathematical equation. It's called ass plus chair.
Right.
And you get a project and you have a bunch of raw ideas and you sit your ass in the chair and the muse comes during the act of creation, not before it.
Right.
And every single time I'm involved in a branding project, which might lead to a marketing project, which might lead to a retention project, but I'm in the mix and I'm sitting there with answers to superhero questions or a conversation, and I'm in front of my computer now or my pad and paper. Because a lot of times I just start free writing with a pad and paper because I can write as
Yeah. Yeah.
fast as I can think. I can't type that fast. So I get a little bit
Hmm.
more authentic flow. But things just start to happen.
Right. Right.
Ideas, I'm a creative.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the magic of writing. That's the
Yeah.
magic of
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
an artist.
You're bringing me back
Is
to my ad school
I,
days.
right, but ideas just start to happen and you don't even
Yeah.
really have control over them. It's sort of like the most beautiful, it's the thing I love more than anything on earth,
Hmm.
is the magic of ideas entering my mind
Yeah.
without just sitting in the chair and doing the work. It's like
Hmm.
it's a form of magic, it's a form of alchemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I do what I do with brands. And it's actually, honestly, it's like, it's why I do what I do. One of the
Hmm.
best moves I made was exiting my dispensary.
Right.
And even
And why
though
is
it
that?
was really hard and I was sick, I was recovering from open heart surgery when I did it, and I was lost for a while
Hmm.
after I did it. Like, I'm not built to sit in the back room of a store and manage it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
That's not
Yeah.
what I'm here for
Hmm. Hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
At all. I'm not even like, that's like slow death to me.
Mm. In the
Now
US, go ahead.
I'm just free
Yeah.
range creative, living on the
Well, and I
beach in
think
Costa Rica.
that's
It couldn't be
yeah.
more beautiful, you know?
Well, I think that's part of the hard part with creatives, especially. Like I work both streams, right? So I worked on the creative side and on the business side. And just you talking about that ass and chair, I think it was my first year copyright professor. He's like, you're going to sit down and you're going to come up with a minimum 100 word associations, minimum over this. And we're going to start the timer. And then we go through it and you write down all these word associations, all these word associations. And he goes, great. Everyone done? Yep. Good. Now throw it in the garbage. Now we're going to start. Right? Meanwhile, you're like, what the hell? But it really changed the way you think about things. It could be a single point. So let's say you know, in those days, Starbucks was launching in Canada, so we did a lot of Starbucks work, and just coming up with different word associations with coffee and the feel of it and what that looks like. But I could just imagine taking a creative individual like yourself and then locking them into what's, you know, not you. Like it's just it. Yeah. So you must feel very fulfilled being able to work with new brands coming when it
Oh,
comes
this
to
is
the US.
every time I get a
Yeah, I
project,
bet.
I'm
I bet.
excited, and it's fun, and I love doing it, and I like to see people be successful,
Yeah.
and I like to
Yeah.
see the light come on, and
Mm,
here's like a little side note, something interesting that's developing is I've branched into personal branding now
okay.
for
Yeah.
the superhero questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's come about now from that is you ever heard someone say, when someone's down and out or struggling or whatever, be the
Mm,
hero in your own movie.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
No one's coming to save you. Save
Mm,
yourself.
right.
I've now tweaked these questions. I have a couple of friends that have reached out to me, and I've
Yeah.
tweaked these questions so they're targeted towards the individual,
Mhm.
and they're about the individual. Instead of engaging in a discovery of what the brand is, they're
That's
engaged in a
cool.
discovery of what they are, and they're
Yeah.
trying to find their inner superhero
Mm.
to pull themselves out of the
Well,
situation they're in.
dude, what perfect timing that could be for this industry, especially.
Well, yeah, and I'm really like, I think I'm gonna do a book,
Yeah. I would say
um,
you should.
maybe called "We Could Be Heroes" because I love that Bowie song, and I always
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to write
yeah.
a movie about it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Um,
But
yeah,
I
I just
think
got
that's where
chills.
some
Ugh.
people struggle though, JP, is this is a hard industry, right? Like
Yeah,
even if you've got everything figured out, there's, you know, in the US, you're dealing with a ton of different issues. Are we going to reschedule, deschedule? Are we going to legalize? Then you got the hemp battle and all this going on. MSO operations, you know, what does that look like for us if we're a brand, if we're a retailer? So I think I've spoken to a lot where they get on and I can just tell I've been there. They're defeated. It's like I don't have any life left in me to give to this business anymore, but I have to. And I think even those that are still operating, they want to helping with those superhero questions and the work that you're going to do branching in, helping them just to like recenter, figure out who they are and why they're doing it. What's your purpose? Why are you still doing this?
I'm so glad you brought this up because I read a post this morning that was about decision fatigue,
Mm.
and this may seem a bit maybe harsh, but this
This
is
is
how I see
Legacies.
it,
Nothing's harsh
and this is
anymore.
how I see it. It's only decision fatigue if you permit yourself to be stressed
Mm,
about thinking. And I'll share like a personal, look, 4 years ago, I had emergency open heart surgery
mhm.
and I held hands with death for about 2 years. And I
Jeez.
literally did not know if I was going to make it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of story I can tell around that, but
Mhm.
I'll leave it at this. Guess what, fuckers? You're all going to fucking die.
Yeah.
So, if you are stressed about your cannabis company or making decisions or how difficult this industry is, you are not thinking about it the right way. Life and work is play. No one wins. Everyone dies. Cut it out.
Mhm.
If you fail, you fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? So what? You know how many times I've failed in my life?
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
more times than I've been successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Way
Yeah.
more. I'm
Yeah.
still here. Talk to Michael Jordan. Talk to
Mhm.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Talk to them about how many game-winning shots they've actually missed.
Right.
If you cycle into this misery and difficulty, it's the regulations' fault. No, it's the taxes' fault. No, it's hemp's fault. No, it's the illicit market's fault. Nah, 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 nah. You just whatever. That's going to be your experience.
Right. Right.
If you
Yeah.
point the finger at you and you say, "I'm 100% accountable.
Mhm.
I have to own all this. None of it really matters at the
Yeah.
end of the day. I mean, it
Yeah.
matters, but it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna show up every day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my best to whatever I can. I'm gonna do what's
Mhm.
in front of me, and I'm gonna accept the result." And that's the only attitude that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a strong
I would
point, man.
say, like, to someone who's got decision fatigue or who's melting down, I think they need to be sat in a chair and talked to
Mm,
and said, "Look, you are that the situation is not your enemy. The
mhm.
way you're thinking about the situation is your enemy,
Right.
and that's
Right.
what's killing you, and that's
Yeah.
what's taking all your energy, this little
Mhm.
hamster wheel in your head that you
Yeah.
can't get off of."
Well, and
That's a very kind of Buddhist way of thinking about things, and again, I've
for
part of my
sure.
journey has been Buddhism, part of it has been a bunch of ayahuasca ceremonies,
Mhm.
a
Yep.
deep, deep, deep inward gaze that, in my mind, corrected
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of that self-sabotage and cyclical thinking that makes everything feel like a chore instead of a joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how much time I have left, Tom. I'll be honest, right? I
Yeah.
almost died. I'll
Mhm.
tell you what, I'm not gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it, man.
Yeah,
You
it's just
that
not gonna happen. I'm not gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Period. Like,
Well,
no, you
there's a
know
few things to that, like, as you're going through that. One, so if I were to put my old operations, like, I've led large organizations, and
right,
I've had individuals, managers come to me and say, "I'm stressed out. There's too many decisions to make," right? So bring this right to that. There's too many decisions. I'm like, "Well, why are you needing to make so many decisions?" That was always my first question.
sure,
Why is so much You're either not empowering yourself or others. You've got too much on your plate that I can help with. So really trying to understand, why are you even making so many decisions, right? But I like to say, work on the things you can control, right? So in this industry, like, I can control when I get up, when I have my coffee, when I eat, what's going on, when I log onto social, how a post may affect me. I can control all
by
those
the way,
things.
how much sleep you get,
Oh
what's your
yeah.
diet, are you
Yeah.
hydrated, do you get to the gym? Like,
Mhm.
those
Yep.
4 things are gonna have more to do with your health and
Yeah.
wellness and
Yeah.
your mindset than anything, and how many people are doing that?
Yeah. But I've got too much work to do. It's too much work to do. I
Right,
can
But the Buddhists have an interesting saying, if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, meditate for an hour.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it's funny because that you're mentioning that, not to get into the philosophical side of things, but I love having these types of conversations. I broke my cardinal rule this morning. So for the last 2 years, I do not touch social. I will not look at emails. I wake up, I read the Tao Te Ching every single morning, spend
That's
time
cool.
meditating, I drink water and hydrate as much as I can. Then, about an hour later, then I'll look at some emails. I'll see what's going on social potentially,
Okay.
but I definitely stay away from those. Until this morning, I woke up, I saw there was an email popped up notification. I'm like, "Oh, I'll click on it." And I'm reading it. It's not disturbing me, but I'm like, "What the fuck am I doing? Why am
Yeah,
I looking at
yeah.
this email right now?"
Reflexive, huh?
But
Times to
it
to
is,
get
and
you.
I think it's, oh, there's a notification. We live by this world of notifications, and that's what's going on. I've told some and given the advice, I'm sure you have as well, is so many. I've even taken a little bit of a step back from LinkedIn for a while. One, because I see a lot of the same conversations happening, but two, it can get overwhelming. There's the negativity. This is something that I'm sure you're very familiar with. It just that spreads. So if I were to post something negative or come down hard on regulators or, industry groups that aren't moving the needle on something, people love that stuff. Oh, they love it. They want to jump in and commiserate with me. And no, I've almost refused to do that anymore. But that stuff doesn't, if you're looking for trending and what's going on, that's what's going to get you the likes and the follows. And I've never wanted to chase that. So
I
for
feel you.
some, I give the advice of, listen, how much time are you spending on social? How much time are you spending on LinkedIn? You're seeing too much negativity about the industry. Remember when you're working in your shop, when you've got customers coming in and they're happy, they're excited about their purchases. You've got something planned, it's the holiday season, food drives, and all these things can be going on, all these positive things that you can be, using as a lever potentially, but also just feeling good about. They forget about that stuff, JP. And I don't know
Yeah.
why, right? And I think they get
Well,
into this vicious circle.
we love it. Like, our brains are hardwired to, run to the thing that attracts our attention, and unfortunately, that's always negative information. I
Yeah.
have, like I'm very, like, sort of structured in how I approach LinkedIn, and I have a library, and I have buckets of content
Mhm.
through different buckets, but at the top of my content library is the words "always positive."
Ah.
Because I've found myself a few times, like, wading into conversations where I, like, disagree
Mhm.
or and not to be a dick or prove I'm right. I just feel
Yeah.
like what this person's saying, I'm not on board with, and maybe it begs for an alternate point of view. But I
Mhm.
try to do that really sparingly now.
Yeah.
I'll try to, for a little while I played into the cynicism game, but I don't do it at all anymore. I'm really focused on my brand now, Stoned Ape. Awareness evolved and what that is and what that
Mhm.
means, and it goes deeper, much, much deeper for me. It's a personal ethos. It's not just a branding agency, it's a way that I live my life,
Mhm.
and it really is always positive, always positive,
Yeah.
always positive. I just you know, I anything else is just it's just self-sabotage. It's just not
Yeah.
acceptable.
Well, and
Really
and and we have a limited number of days and hours and time on
Yeah.
this earth, so why I get it, though, we get caught up in it. So
Yeah,
let
see,
me
look, it's easy. It's easy to get caught. We're
it's
we're we're
easy.
hardwired to get caught.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes like a look, you have a morning practice to center yourself. I have a morning practice to center myself, which is not
Mhm.
I meditate and I read and I also do morning pages.
Mhm.
And I do that before I do anything else. And I
Yep.
actually take my dog out. We go to the beach, we watch the sunrise, we swim,
Mhm.
we ride on the beach. She pulls the bike for a while because she's a cattle dog and she needs to get, she needs a hammer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we come and do our reading and writing and coffee, and my morning routine probably takes an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. Well,
One
it's gotta be
option.
time for
I do it every
yourself.
day, and I do it
Yeah.
again at night. I haven't missed a sunrise or a sunset in, I don't know, years.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's super important, and, as
Well,
part of
the
that
reason
whole
the reason
Go
I'm
ahead.
asking about this and getting you to share this, JP, is I want people to understand that what they're getting into working with you because it's
Yeah.
beyond what you see with the super, building a super brand, using superhero questions, the work that you've done in industry and the successes you've seen is it's it's more centered, which is, forget about all the big flashy for a second. Let's really focus in on what your brand is going to be, what your story is going to be, what you are going to communicate to your customers. But you as that individual working with them, I like to say that certain practices rub off, right? So if you're feeling grounded and centered, and I'm working with you, chances are that's going to rub off on me a little bit. And God knows everyone needs that in this industry right now is just a
Yeah.
rooted, grounded, centered. Don't worry about the noise for a little while. Focus on again what you can control. That's why I wanted to talk and why I pulled on those strings a little bit because what we see in a lot of cases, we make these, presumptions or decisions ahead of even having a conversation. So what you post makes a lot of sense, but they don't necessarily know who is JP at the root of it, right? And that's why I wanted to be able to talk to you so people could understand this is what you're getting when you work with an individual like yourself.
My appearances can be pretty deceptive because I look like I don't know, like a cement truck driver. Um I get that from guys in jiu-jitsu. So when I first started training, they're like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a writer. I'm an artist." They're like, well, you're not an artist. You're a construction worker. You're a
Yeah.
collector for the mafia."
Yeah.
No, I'm a sensitive soul, but I really boy, if you can be the light
Yeah.
wherever you go in everything you do,
Mhm.
right, in every touch point in your life, bring the light, because like, there's so much suffering out there
Yeah.
and so much struggling, and the human experience is hard, and most people haven't had the benefit of, facing their own death or going through the gauntlet that the gauntlets that I've gone through in my
Mhm.
life that have
Yeah.
motivated me to evolve beyond, um, sort of a standard operating system, and I'm acutely aware of all the pain and all the
Mhm.
suffering and all the challenges and all the cynicism.
Yeah.
And so I would really like it for, and I don't do a perfect job of this at all. I don't want to come off like I'm, the Pope or Mother Teresa or some kind of saint. I'm a flawed human being just like everyone else, but I do make a conscious effort to, you know, be a light on everything I touch, to bring something positive to everything that I'm involved in, to be that person who, when you're around, you feel good,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that really, like, there's nothing really that feels better than that.
Yeah.
My mom this is like off topic, but she just was hospitalized with Alzheimer's
Oh, man.
and or dementia, I guess, and delirium. And a lot of times she doesn't know where she is or what's going on, and she has all these narratives now
Mm,
that she's spinning to try to make sense of a world that now looks like shattered glass and is fragmented, and she's not inhabiting the same reality that I am. And I
mhm,
call
mhm.
her every day and I talk to her and she tells me all these stories and I don't tell her they're not true.
Yeah,
And I listen and we talk. But when I call her, she gets happy.
yeah, yeah,
She feels good because her son is calling her. And even
yeah.
though we're not communicating, right? Because she
Mhm.
doesn't know where she is or what's going on or what's actually happening. She does still know I'm her son, and
Yeah.
she is still grateful for the call, and it puts a little sunshine on her day, and a lot of her days are really hard and terrifying,
Mhm. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And, that's a very, like, when I like to do these things, like,
Mhm.
you can give, like, a very extreme example, right,
Yeah.
of being the light that makes a material difference by telling an intimate familial story, but that'll give you an idea of, what I wanna bring to
Yeah, yeah.
business and my personal life and on the jiu-jitsu mat and
Mhm.
when I'm training Muay Thai, I'm always the guy in the gym who's smiling and cracking jokes and wanting to help, and, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
beat your ass too, but, you know, I'm probably gonna
But I
whisper
get
something
but
funny
I
I'm
get to
probably
do it
gonna
with a
whisper something
smile.
funny in your ear while I'm doing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and then
Yeah.
we'll bump this and smile and we'll go again,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's so important, and,
Yeah. And what was
and I
it
love
when
being around people like that too, and believe me, like, that was not what I was like my whole adult
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I
You
you know
it takes a growing into, I think, but I'm curious when you started Stoned Ape, so, going through, this the the medical, exiting Tropicana, understanding that, what is your life even gonna look like in the future? When you decided to start Stoned Ape, was there an ethos yourself there? I mean, I would have to assume there is, but where you wanted to bring not just help and, contracting services that, equal some sort of pay, right? Was there, I wanna bring this to these individuals so that they can feel that. They can feel that I'm here to help, truly help, not just, "We're gonna get you a brand, we're gonna get you launched, we're gonna do what we're doing, and then you're gonna pay me."
That's a great question, and I'm gonna walk it back to what I said about the creative process.
Mm,
Yes, I had really specific ideas about what the brand was and what awareness evolved meant and what branding meant to me and the superhero questions and how I really, really wanted to help people and businesses communicate their ideas effectively to their audience
mhm,
as brand.
mhm,
Okay. Obviously, I have my personal philosophy and my personal life that's underpinning that. But what's happened, because this is the beauty of creativity, when you're awake and aware and you're alive and you're here for it, is it's now evolving.
mm,
And like really this thing where like it's been in the last few weeks, I've had two friends that are really struggling come to me and say, "Hey," and I'm like, "Well, why don't you try this
mhm,
with the superhero questions?" And I did a little redraft and I moved things around a little bit and they're like stoked and
mhm.
and so now it's like it's sort of taken on a much deeper personal dimension
Right.
that I think
Yeah.
will and they'll feed on each other and I don't even know where it will go and I don't have to know where it will go because it's just being awake and alive
Mhm,
and here for it. It will go wherever it needs to go as long as I'm present,
mhm.
and that's the biggest thing for me is taking care of me,
Right. Yeah.
and I have to like work at that so I can show up as this version
Mhm,
of
mhm.
me. It
Yeah.
doesn't just happen,
Yeah. Well, it takes effort.
it,
I think
that's
it definitely
sleep and
does.
it's
Yep.
diet and it's exercise and it's sunrises and sunsets and writing and reading and meditating and calling your mom and taking the dog out and the whole an ass plus chair.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, that
Because
makes sense, but so many in the industry, especially this industry, I've worked many industries, but in this industry specifically, it's lack of sleep, get up, hit it, pound it hard all day, tons of decisions to be made. Then I'm on social and I'm seeing negative posts and, oh my God, why am I still doing this? Starts to enter your mind. All of this is happening. So I think it is crucial. I think that if anyone can take anything away from this conversation, especially, is taking that time for yourself. Like, you're investing all this to something that's etherical. It's not going to necessarily exist in the future, right? Just like you, but you have certain amount of time to live in this moment. Why not enjoy it? Like, this way I've
well,
seen so many and
maybe we
given.
can take that a step farther
Yeah.
too. And
Yeah.
everybody's operating under the assumption that they're gonna wake up in the morning, and that's
Ah,
an erroneous assumption. You
yes.
could go in the
Yes.
next second, or this
Right.
second, or this second, or this
Yeah.
second. So it's like right now. I'll also
Yeah.
say this industry is full of a lot of unhealthy habits, and that's probably gonna be a really unpopular statement, but, roll up to MJ Biz in Vegas,
Mhm.
and you tell me what's going down there.
I haven't been. So what is going, like, hey,
It's
let's
like,
expand on that a little bit.
I mean, look, no judgment, right? No
Yep.
judgment. And
Yep.
everybody gets to live however they wanna live. For
Mhm.
me, you know, going to bed at 8 o'clock at night and waking up at 4 in the morning, and drinking water works really, really well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not telling anyone they need to do that, but, alcohol's not good for you.
Yeah,
As someone who's done a fair amount of drinking in a
yeah, yeah.
in a
It
former
certainly
life,
isn't.
I think I've
Yeah,
I've tested that theory as much as, needs to be tested.
yeah.
Honestly, I think, smoking weed from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed is, I think some people probably need to, and it's better than the other options. And again, no judgment,
Mhm.
but I don't think we're built to. I call it state changing.
Mm.
And there's all different kinds of ways we can do it. We can do it with
Mhm.
money. We can do it with power. We can do it with sex. We can do it with drugs. We can do it with alcohol.
Mhm, mhm.
But we can do it with healthy things. We can do it with the gym. We can do it with jiu-jitsu. But I always ask myself the question, like if I'm reaching for a beer or a joint or or sex or a relationship, anything. Like,
Mhm.
what is so flawed with my natural state of consciousness that I feel the need to alter it?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I really try to look at that and go,
Yeah.
what is it that I can't sit with right now? What am I masking?
Mhm.
What am I hiding from?
Yeah.
What am I fleeing? What am I trying to soothe? And this world is full of all different kinds of things that can do
Mhm.
that for us. And I probably fucked with more of them than most, to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, it's just where I come from. I
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
wild man when I
Yep.
was young.
Yep.
Um, but now I look at that question really, really hard. Right now I'm actually fasting from everything.
Mm.
No sex, no alcohol, no marijuana, no nothing but water and healthy food and meditation and doing it intentionally because I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep asking myself the question of like state changing. And I know I won't stay like that forever.
Yep.
But right now I feel like I'm in this period of explosive growth. And there's a lot of really interesting things happening, and I wanna
Mhm.
be fully present for all of it and the best version of me. I feel like it's a very critical or important time. I shouldn't say critical, an important time, and so I'm, I really just wanna be, like it's like I'm here with you right now, just, like,
Yep.
strapped in and locked in, and there's nothing distracting me and nothing pulling me outside of myself,
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Yeah. Well,
and that's sort of a beautiful thing too.
yeah, for sure, for sure. It's got me, as you're going through that, it's got me thinking about some of the various operators, and they've been uh, riding the same train the entire time since inception. Maybe their brand is decent, but they're just banging their head against the wall. At what point? Because and let me bring this back to, let's say, I don't know, a cracker. I could take a shot at a few different brands, but a Cracker Barrel, for instance, right? They've got a
Oh, that
strong brand
rebrand?
presence. Yeah, like they've got a strong brand. All of a sudden, they rebrand. I know the decisions behind many. I remember the early days with FedEx and their $3 million logo. I know all of these weird things that happen in various industries. At what point does a operator, retail, brand itself, whatever it looks like, when should they decide it's time to depart our ways and do something different? Maybe it's a complete rebrand. I'm not sure. Maybe their operations. Like, what are the signals that would indicate I need to do something a little different? And I don't mean just for money. I'm looking at
Yeah, I'm not thinking
what is,
about money at all, even though I
yeah,
know that's I'm gonna go the opposite direction.
yeah,
Which may not be the correct answer for a lot of people. A lot of people would probably say, "Oh, our business has slipped 30%. Maybe we need to rebrand."
mm,
What I'm always looking for in my life is synergy between what's going on inside of me and what I'm working on in the material world, and are
mm,
they in alignment?
mhm,
And if you hate showing up to your company every day, there might be something wrong with you or your company
yeah, yeah,
because it's yours,
mhm,
right? You created it. It's your child. Like, you
yeah,
should love it more than anything. I mean, I can remember, like, when I created the Tropicana brand and it opened and I would walk into that store, I felt like I was walking into this sort of living, breathing, beautiful entity that I gave birth to on this.
yeah.
It was like, I was just, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming joy. Like, we made this thing and people loved it. And like, I was so much passion around it. And I would say if you've lost that, then, you need to take a look at yourself and a look at your brand and figure out, is this what you want to do? Or
Mhm.
is there a way that you can do this that's going to work better for you? And then, in fairness, there are nuts and bolts questions. Look, if you've fallen off and people aren't paying attention anymore, are you out of step? I just read another post this morning, somebody talking about how Nike and Lululemon was down like 60%.
Mm,
And I'm like, I know Viori's taking a bite, right?
mhm.
But what has Nike done since Air Jordan that's culturally significant?
Yeah. Nothing I can
Nothing.
think of. No.
Nothing. Now, admittedly, it's like writing a hit song, right? I'm not pointing the
Right.
finger,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, you're a band, your first album's always your best because it took you 20 years to write it.
Mhm.
Most bands can't get a second album out
Right.
because they already shot their wad on the first record, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Very few artists are like, okay, we're great on album 2, 3, but how many Radioheads are there? How many Beatles
Right.
are there? How many Led Zeppelins are there?
Yeah,
Out there, how many, anyway, I feel like how many Wu-Tang Clans? I gotta get
yeah,
a Wu's one of my favorites. I gotta get my
yeah.
golden age of hip hop in New York, Wu-Tang yeah. Guillotine Swords, one of my top 5 favorite songs of all time.
Nice.
I listen to it when I train, and it makes me a savage. Anyway, I digress. So, there's the, Lululemon. What have they, they were really cool when they opened up, but like, what have they done? How have they moved
Mhm.
the needle? How have they continued to innovate? And
Yeah.
dispensaries, brands, this industry is so new that I think it's highly unlikely there would be a misalignment between brand and culture that has evolved in the last 5 years. I mean,
Mhm.
Rec in California is about 5, 6 years, 7 years old, maybe. So everything should still be fine, but there may come a day when the brand and culture is misaligned, and that's
Mhm.
something worth taking a look at too. But I always, my life has always been about what am I passionate about and what do I believe in
Mhm.
and what do I want to do in my art or my work, whether it's in branding or screenwriting or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. It's what do I believe in? What am I passionate about? I hate focus groups. I think it's the worst way to make anything. It's like just lowest common denominator garbage, and I don't want anything to do with it. And I don't care if it's successful or not because it has no soul,
Right.
you know? And I would much rather fall on my own sword than a focus group's.
Right.
Um, and so that's it for me. It's like, does it feel true to me? I make, I mean, I hate to say it, but like even when I'm working, if I'm working with someone and they pay for my expertise and for my creativity, at the end of the day, the question I'm asking myself as I'm looking at their answers to the superhero questions is, will this work? Do I think this is cool?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, am I feeling this vibe that they're putting out? Are these good answers? Am I into it? Because I can't predict what anyone else will think,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can only do me. I
Right.
can't do Tom Ritchie. I wish I could. He's
Mhm.
smooth, you know? Um, so that's it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's all a and that's really hard maybe for some operators because they're not that person.
Yeah.
So many people are in this because just got into this business for the wrong reasons,
Well, I think that's one of the biggest
you
things to
know,
look at.
and they're doing things just to make money.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
how anybody gets up in the morning with that as their motivation.
I
I don't understand it
I
at
know I
all.
know lots of them, but again, I don't know why that is, because they're never going to be satisfied.
Well,
They just
right.
because there's always more money to be made, and, I love some of the shows and the series that revolve around that, but I
So
look at it and I
insane.
go, "It's sad."
I
To
can't
me,
even
it's
watch it.
sad.
It just makes me
Yeah,
sick to
like,
my stomach.
so
I'm
lem
like,
w
and then by the way, that's a thing. It's a huge thing. That's look. I don't want to make any political statements and be incendiary in that way, but our part of the reason I came down here
Mhm.
was I made a decision that I was going to live my life completely on my terms, and I was not going to wait, and I was going to
Mhm.
do it right now, and I was going
Yeah.
to enjoy every second that I had left and
Mhm.
be a version of my authentic self. And part of that was frustration with culture in the United States. And look, we're a capitalist country and we're
Yeah.
hardwired for hardcore consumerism from day one, and everything's a dick measuring contest
Mm.
about what kind of car you drive and how big your house is and what kind of watch you wear and what labels on your shirt and I just think that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
any part of it. You know, I live in a third world country where the credo is pura vida, pure
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what kind of shirt you have on. Nobody cares what you think politically. Nobody even really cares what you do.
Yeah.
It's a very permissive sort of live and let live culture. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying, commercialism hasn't touched it down here, but and then with the political fractionalization that's going on right now, red versus blue and the absurdity of all that, and then the infighting in cannabis on top of it.
Yeah.
I just find all of it to be really tiresome and unconstructive and not you said it yourself, like what world do you want to inhabit? And just
Mhm.
like the light can rub off on you, the dark can sure as fuck rub off on
Oh,
you as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, for sure.
And you talk
For
about
sure.
not getting on social media in the morning, right? I mean, that's,
Mhm.
you don't want to get sucked into that. You don't want your first thoughts to be,
Yeah.
on that hamster wheel of
Exactly.
digital
Yeah.
content. And
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to be careful with that now. And
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense. I think you've painted a really good picture of what it would be like to work with JP, right? And I think that's what's important is the brand as the ethos and then building from there. And I think if you can keep that aligned, you'll see the success. But it's depending on how you're measuring success as well. Do you work with your clients to understand how are we going to measure success? I mean, in any project I've ever been a part of, we look at KPIs and different metrics. This is great, but at the same time, I always ask, how does this make you feel? Right? How is this going to make you feel? So if I was leading a certain project, but I have my project managers that are on it. Do you feel good about this? Do you right? And unless we got a group buy-in that was involved on it, saying, "Yeah, I feel good about this." If there was one nay, we start over again. Because the last thing I want is someone in that mix going, this just doesn't feel right. Something's off, right? And then you're going to have animosity working through that project. The
Sure.
end results are not going to be what you're looking for. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with it, but I think that it's
No, I think
important.
I know where you were going with it, and I, I mean, this is where really where the rubber meets the road. Because look,
Mhm.
we can't just all do whatever we want, right? I
Right.
mean, dispensaries and brands have to make money. Okay, so there's the authentic self part of this, but at some point that has to intersect with the culture and capture the imagination in such a way that people want to associate or affiliate or consume
Mhm.
what it is that you're doing, and that's reality. So I even though I've talked a lot about being a purist, I'm not ignorant of the fact that my ideas or my clients' ideas or whatever we create does need to intersect with commerce. But it goes
Mhm.
back to that, writing a hit song thing, and both things need to happen, right? Like you can't, if you're just doing it for money and there's no soul, you
Mhm.
fail. If you're just doing it for soul and you're ignoring commercial reality, that's might work and might not work,
It's
right?
gonna make you broke real quick,
No.
potentially.
And I mean, I had a lot of experience with this when I was, I'm actually shopping a screenplay right now. I've got part of what I've done, and I'm sort of gone back to writing, which is
Mhm.
my love and my passion. It's why I like what branding work so much, is it's basically telling little movies, you're
Yep.
creating little stories. But as a creative, like, yeah, I have to ask myself the question. This is the question I ask for brand. It's the same question I'd ask if I'm writing a screenplay or pitching a film to a studio head.
Mhm.
As I'm
Mhm.
gonna go, am I into the idea? That's where I start, because
Yeah.
nothing's gonna happen if I'm not into it.
Yeah, yeah,
But then
yeah.
I have to ask the question, is my audience, whoever I think that is, gonna be into the idea?
Mm.
Is it gonna
Yeah.
get them excited?
Yeah.
'Cause, there's gotta be a hook. You gotta grab them, and
Yeah.
that's part of the, like, you gotta lure him into your tent,
Yeah.
and get him like, yeah, what's he gonna
Yeah.
say, or
What's
what's he
going
gonna
on
do
over there?
next? Or
Yeah, I want
how's
some
he
of
gonna
that.
wanna turn the page? And that's a big aspect of branding, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
people gotta see your shit and be like, "Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
down with that. I'm cool with that. I vibe with that. I want that." Like, my Instagram, or not my Insta, my LinkedIn page says, "Be the one."
Mhm.
And I mean that. Like,
Yeah.
you wanna be the one.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the one.
Yeah. Well, and I
How do you
think
get
that's
there,
some forget that just because of the, outward factors, right? So another dispensary in the area, someone's running a different promo, someone's doing this, oh, their email campaign looks better or it looks different or it's yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm doing what
It's
I'm doing.
right. Some of the best advice I had had, and it wasn't specifically for me, is way back when I had started podcasting, there's a brand here in Canada that's called Next Friday. They just did a phenomenal job with the brand itself. The products are good too, but the brand is just on point. And I had asked,
I'm sorry, what was the name again?
it's
I
called
lost.
Next Friday.
Okay.
So and the reason it's named that is in Canada, licensing would always come out on Friday, and they hadn't thought of what they wanted to call their company at the time. And they kept saying, "Oh, we didn't get licensed this week. Maybe next Friday. Maybe next Friday." And then but everyone's
That's
thinking, "Oh, it's
great.
next Friday because of the movie." And they're like, "Fuck no, it's not because of that. It's because every Friday would come and we kept saying next Friday." But they've got this vibe that is it's street. They understand it. They've lived it. They know their ethos. But I had asked, I said, what advice do you have to those that are worried about excise taxes and the way that the industry is being run and the overregulation and the marketing and all these things? All he said was, worry about yourself. Don't worry about that stuff.
I
Worry about
love
yourself.
that.
And they continue to see success. They have distribution. Everything is clicking for where they are.
Let me ask you a question though now, and this
Yeah,
is gonna walk into something you said earlier. Are those
yeah.
guys stressed out, guys and girls? Are they
I don't
freaked
think they
out? Are they
are.
exhausted? Are they
Nope.
dreading going into the office in the morning? I
Nope.
already know the answer.
Yeah.
No,
Not at
no,
all. Nope.
no, no. There's a lesson in there somewhere.
Yeah.
If anybody's
It's honestly one of the only cannabis companies. Now they're not the big Pubco company. They are what I would say mid-tier. But I see their founders, they taking time and trips to Thailand, they're doing things, they're enjoying life. Like, they have other businesses too, but they're not going on about, oh, the excise tax is killing us. We can't survive. Or, oh, it's overregulating, overbearing. We can't market. Because if any brand has done well at marketing, it's this brand has done very well. But I just use that as, you know, those that are still, even if they're listening to this going, yeah, but if there's a yeah, but, sorry, what did my uncle used to say? Yabbits have long ears and a short tail, or vice versa. Short ears and a long tail. Rabbits have long ears and a short tail, right?
My uncle said everything after "but" is bullshit.
I like that one. I like that one. But I think,
It's true. I mean, look, whenever you're doing this, you got 4 fingers pointed back at you.
right, right.
And
Well,
this
and I
is
think it
true. It's like,
comes
what's the
back to
point? Like, can
operate
you
with what
do
you can
anything
control.
about excise tax? Can you do anything about marketing restrictions? I mean, okay, sure. You could start a local trade organization and maybe you could engage in some grassroots lobbying, and all that's well and good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you have a huge problem with it and you're not doing that, then you're just full of shit.
Right.
But if you can't, like, like your guy said, worry about you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is why I'm so into brand.
Yeah.
I really believe 1,000% that it's the answer to all those problems.
Mm-hmm.
There are great brands and great companies in the space crushing it.
Yeah.
Not everyone is getting run over by a dump truck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh,
And so I
there's
look
evidence.
at those companies and it's like, okay, they've got a great idea, they've got a great product, they've got a great brand, they're marketing it well, people
Mm-hmm.
are into what they do. I've seen a bunch of them drop when I was at my dispensary. I mean, there's so many stories. Like, let's look at, I mean, this is just arbitrary. And I put up a post about heavy hitters today,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a great legacy brand that has started in 1996 and managed to sustain. But let's tell another story. Meanwhile, in Southern California, you got Stizzy and Plug and Play in Orange County that have probably locked up 60% of the vape market. It's a totally saturated category.
Mm-hmm.
And Connected comes out with Cake like last year out of the blue in a category they had no business launching anything in at all. And I think they're top 3 now.
Wow. Yeah.
And why? Because it's a fucking great brand.
Yeah.
And it's a cool product.
Right.
And one of the principals comes down here all the time. So I get to interact with him, and he always, I don't know how he manages to bring those vapes into the country. He's always got a couple on him, and it's and so it's like, look, this is a great example of category nobody has any business doing anything in, has very dominant market players that are controlling it. There is no space on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And some operator just said, I've got a great idea and a great product, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah.
And it worked. While meanwhile, 50 other vape brands are complaining about restrictions and taxes and failing. And so what's the answer?
Yeah.
Have a good idea. Create a great product.
Yes.
Bingo. Market it well. Connect with your audience. You can
Yep.
control that, and have a great attitude and have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah. Super important. And I think, to point to evidence for that is, if it was just the regulations or taxation or marketing, whatever it might be, then there would be none successful.
Right.
0. But if there is, that means there is a chance, right? So you always, going back to as a kid, you get saying no all the time. So there is a chance, though. If it's a maybe, there is a chance, is what you're saying, right? So that's the way I look at it. I'm like, okay, but other brands are still succeeding. And then, I get the counters. Oh, they've got bigger budgets. They've got this, they've got that. Well, if your brand and your ethos, to your point, were where they needed to be, maybe you'd get the investment dollars to use that for the marketing, right? But investors are not dumb. I mean, some in the early days were, and there still are a few throughout the industry. But again, it's how solid is that brand. And then people they will rally behind that brand. Some of our most successful brands in Canada are not even producers, processors, and operators. They are simply a brand that made its way from the US, The Canadians didn't have any idea what that brand was. They had no idea, right? So if I look at a Jeter's or any one of these other companies, I'm like,
Oh man, talk
they,
about a brand that just
like
came in like a
they,
bat out of
they
hell and
just killing
crushed
it,
it.
killing it, and
Crushed
they
it.
are
And
a
now, by the way,
brand.
Sluggers is right behind them
Sluggers
now.
is there. Yep. Yep.
And like those are both great stories.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
remember when Jeter dropped at Trop and we picked him up. And not
Yep.
only did they do a great brand and execute phenomenally well, but the way they expanded their range of products to devour more shelf space and box out the competition is absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they've got a lineup that could, you know, carry the whole pre-roll shelf if
Yeah.
you let it. Of course, you can't let it
Yep.
because you need a diverse menu and people are going to want more than that, but they're absolutely an industry leader. And if you would have looked at that, I've been like, okay, that's game over. I won't mess with the pre-roll market. And what? Here comes Sluggers.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No,
These are
I
brands
agree.
that entered markets that were played out.
Yeah.
Cake, Jeter,
Well, that's what we
Sluggers,
would have
like
said
no
in
room for
Canada.
anything. And
Yeah.
boom, here they
Yep.
are killing it. So what? You
Yeah.
tell me. Does
It's
brand
all
mean
brand,
something?
baby. It's all
Does
brand.
brand mean something? I think it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. JP, listen, man, it's been awesome. I know we've run over. That's totally fine by
Have we
me.
run over? I'm sorry. I
That's
talk a lot, don't
well,
I?
it's not I don't have a hard end. I know people they like to join on their lunch hours or early in the
Yeah.
morning, depending on the coast, but that's fine. They can catch it later as well. It'll be here. But listen, man, I love connecting and chopping it up with you. I'd love to be in Costa Rica doing it in person, and maybe in the
Dude,
future
come
we'll do it.
down. We'll go surfing. We'll
Oh man.
roll. We'll do some Muay Thai.
Well, let's save
We'll
the
hang out
rolling
at
to
the
last so
beach.
I still have a body to be able to surf
Yeah,
first.
I'm a gentle warrior
Yeah, yeah,
now.
gentle war.
You're,
Wait,
look, I'll tell you the truth. You're much safer
oh, I know.
rolling with a high level black
I
belt
know. Then a
than you
spazzy white
are with
belt.
a blue belt
Yeah.
who, you know, sees the new white belt coming in
Oh
and,
yeah.
and is
Yeah.
getting his ass beat for 2 years. And
Yeah.
he's got, I won't even roll with those guys now. I'm like, get
Oh
away from me.
man.
Go to the other end of the mat. Don't
It's
even look at me.
dangerous.
If you look at me, I'm going to shoot you in the parking lot. Get the fuck out of here. I'm serious.
I
I'm
love it.
not, I will say that. I
Yeah.
have said it many
It's
times.
true though. It's true.
Don't even
I
make
mean,
eye contact. Go to your
yeah.
hole. Go to your hole. You see this belt? You see the
Yeah.
3 stripes on it? Yeah,
Yeah.
go to your hole. Terrible.
But no, it's true. It's true, man. Well, hopefully we can do it in person. I look forward to it. But I do appreciate you. For those that have been commenting or are going to comment, maybe if you could take a minute and respond to them throughout that chat. But
Sure,
I appreciate you,
absolutely.
man. Thanks for joining and health and happiness. Love that you're able to join so much.
Much love, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It means the world to me that you hold me in that regard. So,
Awesome.
gracias.
Thanks, JP.
Thank you.